Oh wow!
On a day with the
look at the bag stands by itself, so I can do that and work at the same time.
Wow, we can do that. But I still can't get I still can't get my hand in this thing.
How can you not get your
So
hand
I'm just
going
to pick the first because my hand is too big to fit in that whole deal. So I'm just going to pick the first one out of the deal. Looks like candy stick.
You always pick this one. What's the date today again? I forgot.
It's August 5th, 2020.
This is candy stick. It is a... Oh, no, it's Candy Crush
Candy Crush.
A glowy lip color. It's very salty, so when you lick it, if you're low on electrolytes, it might help with that. That's a plus, right?
Yeah.
I thought so, too.
Oh, that's the salty one?
Yeah, it's the salty one.
Oh.
And
maybe because I'm so salty, that's why I pick it all the time.
Dude, you're like so on it. And I wanted to go over national days really quick. I know,
One day. National Day.
Well, no, because
pick the one you like the best.
Can I go over the other days that we missed, though?
No.
Like yesterday? Why wasn't here yesterday?
You pick one from yesterday.
All right, National Chocolate Chip Day.
Okay. Tuesday's out.
All right.
One for Wednesday.
Boring. All right. Today is National Underwear Day.
Oh, that is.
Can I do tomorrow since I won't be here?
Do tomorrow since you won't be here. Well, you'll be here, but not be here.
I'll be here recorded. I'll be here in spirit.
You shouldn't be telling them that. It's kind of like the illusion.
Anyways, National... Oh, I don't know which one to go in. Wiggle Your Toes Day.
Wiggle your toes.
It's also National Root Beer Day, National Fresh Fruit Day.
No, you didn't hear
IPA
that.
Day.
You didn't hear that.
IPA. Isn't that beer?
You didn't hear
that.
Liquor? Hit the start button.
All right. You ready to go on Facebook? That
ready to go on Facebook Live whenever you are on the deal.
Happy National Underwear Day.
Yes.
You go.
On that.
I don't have the jingle palette.
Oh, we forgot the jingle palette coming up.
Just pretend like it's... Why don't you sing for him?
Where is it on there? Oh, there it is. See if it will come up. There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every day live at 5 on Newswire and YouTube Monday through Friday on a Wicked Wednesday on that. Glad everybody can join us again. Another news-packed, jam-packed day. We'll have Susan Shelley coming on at the bottom of the hour with all her insights and everything on that. It's a heck of a deal, but well, you wanted me to sing. On that, you wanted me to sing in the intro?
No.
Oh. Because I was going to do this. I was going to do a little light...
No? I'm just kidding.
I was going to do a little lighthearted story here up on the...
oh, go ahead.
On the beginning of that, if I can find it. On that. No, it was kind of a cute little story that I saw on that. I'll do the singing anyway. He will sleep till noon, but before it's dark, he'll have every picnic basket that's in Jellystone Park. Yogi has the status of a millionaire. That's because he's smarter than the average bear. So that was the intro to the Yogi Bear cartoons of that on that, which you probably have never seen.
Yeah. Hey, Boo Boo.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're doing
something like
Boo Boo
that.
Bear. That. But no, this is in Florida.
I sound like Count freaking Dracula.
Yes, this is in Florida on that. It's a neat little. Now this is and I do that because that was the intro. You know, Yogi Bear used to get all the picnic baskets and stuff, and the ranger would always be on his case and and he'd get Boo Boo in trouble and all that holy stuff. But this was a pretty cool looking little video. This is on Fox 13 News in Tampa Bay. So have number 4 ready on that. We'll play the video of that. There's a bear taking the trash can across the deal. Now watch this. This is a pretty cool bear. That's
oh my gosh! I need to give me one of those.
Yes, and look at this though. he pulls
puts it
down.
back?
Yes, and down opens the lid and goes inside and gets the food in there of that. Now, isn't that a pretty cool bear shot?
That is an amazing. Yeah.
Of that. I thought that was a pretty neat little deal of that. There you go again as
Is
he's
that
doing.
like the baby? Or maybe their brother and sister.
Yeah, or Mama and Papa Bear, who knows of that? If you remember the old A&W burger deal, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
of course you don't. But I mean, that's a pretty. And he doesn't. He's actually a very clean bear. He didn't just dump it over. Just
He was very respectful.
Yes.
Very kind. Very
of that.
considerate.
I thought
Brought
that
the
was
trash can up.
yes,
I want that bear.
yes. Now
Don't
that
people have pet bears? Isn't that like a thing?
yes, there's some people.
I want to get a llama.
uh,
That's my thing today. See my llama socks? Love them. That was my happiest part of my day. Llama socks.
llama socks of the deal on that. No, if they've had a lot of a lot of things going on across the board, every day. I mean, it's just like a big onslaught of
A lot
of that.
mess up.
Yeah, I just want to get it seems like the Apple Fire, the big one out there in the Beaumont Cherry Valley up the San Bernardino Mountains, part of that. It just seems the acreage they haven't, it's still at 26,000 acres, and they bumped the containment up to 30%. So it looks like they're getting a handle on it. I think what was it? 4 structures have been damaged in that fire going across the board. But it's devastating. And as we reported yesterday, they're looking. Cal Fire's put out a release. They're looking for a diesel automobile that they suspect was the impetus of that, with the bad exhaust coming out of it. Was the impetus behind, or the cause of starting the fire. So it doesn't seem to be like a arsonist or it wasn't intentionally somebody went out there and we're just going to torch the.
Weren't they thinking that it was, though, for a minute? Or was
Yes,
that the other one that was off the 5?
Well, it could be. I think that was the one off the 5, but that's usually
yeah,
the
because
case
you know what?
in
I
it.
heard that 2 were arrested on that one. So, yeah, it must have been another
Yeah,
one.
so but this one they're looking for somebody on that, and maybe tomorrow we're going to see if we can get James Patrick Riley. He owns Riley's Farms up in Oak Glen, which is right in the middle of this thing.
Right.
Maybe we'll get him on tomorrow or Friday or something, because I mean he had a bird's eye view and posted a lot of.
I saw some really it's devastating. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of great shots and photos of that fire.
Yes, that was 26,000
It's the first
acres.
biggest one of this fire season, right?
Probably. I mean, we haven't had any. I mean,
huge.
there hasn't been any major fires. I don't think this year. Knock on wood. But that was definitely one. For that, and not to make light of that or the people that did lose property in that, but. At least as big as the fire was, it doesn't seem to done a lot of property damage.
Right. It's more just the nature.
Right, of that, which is kind of good. And I wish we would get back to doing more. I talk about it, the real environmentalists, I wish they would get back to doing more controlled burns and stuff, and building fire breaks and putting carbon back in. That's the black stuff that you see after the fire.
Anyways.
Sometimes I got to put those little details in
Yeah,
for
yeah.
some in our audience and maybe in studio that don't.
I'm sorry, what? I had an itch.
Yeah. Must have been that National Underwear Day or something.
It's riding up, making me grouchy. I'm just kidding. I know, I can't. Who comes up with those? There should be a National Stephanie Day. Is there one of those? I don't think there is.
Well, I think you make it every day, isn't it?
Yeah, in August. Every day is
Half
national.
birthdays.
Heck
and
yeah, dude. Who wants to celebrate Valentine's Day? Everyone would rather celebrate my half birthday. I'm just kidding.
The only person I know that celebrates a half birthday.
Because I don't hate, but I don't like Valentine's Day. So everyone's always out doing stuff. And I celebrate my half birthday. Thought it was a great idea. I think my parents were out of town that weekend, so I threw myself a party. Sorry, Mom. Okay. All right. Take your show back, please. getting myself in trouble.
Let's explore what sort of party you threw while the.
We're not. It was a half birthday party. It was nothing big. We kept it small. Minimal.
Sure.
Only 100+ people.
On that, no, it was a
Anyways.
devastating fire on
It was.
of that, and a very end. Yeah, somebody who just recently told me millennials suck, and
But it doesn't count if I am one. But we do. Sorry. I'm sorry.
You're not going to get a lot of argument, I don't think, from people on that one.
Oh, I might get some hate mail following. But
Yeah,
that's
she might
alright.
get some hate
It's not
mail
anything
from it.
I'm not used to.
But I think this is
Ish.
some. I think this is some confirming evidence of this. This recently came up on the on that. It's in Mox Mag, whichever the heck that is. Students no longer want to learn about WW2 World War II because it upsets them.
Oh, shut up.
No.
Shut up.
Have you ever seen this guy?
No.
This is young
I want-
Instagram influencer, whatever the hell that is, has an important message for all teachers in America. Stop teaching youngsters about World War II because the Second World War involved the Nazis in concentration camp and killed millions of innocent people. A 22-year-old Instagram influencer thinks is too intense of a conflict to teach millennials. The snowflake argues that teaching young people about World War II would hit millennials' mental health and do damage to their collective psyche.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
He doesn't help the millennials' cause any at all, I will
Does
tell
not. Am I a millennial? I don't think I
Yes.
am. I don't fall in that category.
you. Yes, you are.
No.
What is millennials are 84 to 96?
Crap. I don't even have words to say. But you know what? Okay, so last summer, I believe, the district, we went out on a field trip, me and my colleagues, to the Museum of Tolerance, which it covers a lot of World War II. I think it was a great thing. Why would you want to get rid of history? I learned so much on that trip, and it was like, it wasn't just about World War II. I mean, it was all kinds of things, and it's devastating and it's heartbreaking. But why in the world would you want to get rid of that? History is going to repeat itself, and it's going to repeat it even quicker if we don't know the mistakes we made in the past. Why would you get rid of that?
Beats
Your
the
psyche already sucks. Get over it.
Yes.
I want to slap him.
Yes. Again, it's to write that, thinks it's too intense of a conflict to teach millennials. I mean,
Everything's intense these days.
yeah.
Oh, Lord, save us. What the hell is this world coming to? See, I hate this show because it makes me mad when I see the truth.
Yes.
I'm going to go back to just producing. Leave me alone. Just kidding.
Of that. Because the young man appeared on television to share his controversial view about education in World War II, he has met with a lot of resistance. Well, no kidding. But that's what their 22-year-old reality television star Freddie Bentley wanted to have happen when he went on Good Morning Britain, and he argued that schools across Great Britain need to go easier on their young population and stop teaching them about the deadly conflict that thrust Europe into a violence war. I mean, really. Like I
Wow.
say, if you... I mean, to me...
Exactly.
I just can't. You see why some of us just can't wrap our heads around this kind of stuff?
I see why the world is just a disaster.
Yes.
That's
Amongst that, you know who the biggest percentage of population is right now?
Don't just stop.
The millennials have just passed baby boomers as the largest segment of our population.
But in the defense of millennials, I would never, ever think like that. That is just, I want my kids to learn about that. They need to learn the history. So many people fought and put their life on the line for World War II. Why would you want to ignore that? I would be pissed. Anyone that has family that fought in World War II, I'd be extremely upset about that.
Yes, it is. It's on the. Again, I don't get that.
I get that maybe there's a way of doing it. You can make it more sensitive, but don't get rid of it. Don't ever.
Why do you need to make it more sensitive?
I mean, we don't need to show like the gory, hard side of it, but they need the hard truth at the same time because then it's not going to stick.
Well,
If it becomes a Disney movie, then I mean, come
you're
on
making
now.
or the point I was going to make is you need to show them the hardened truth of this because you don't want this stuff to happen again.
Exactly.
And you want to show them
You
the
don't want history to
consequences
repeat it.
of being a stupid millennial that has his head up his ass
Why do you get to say that word and I don't?
of that. Well,
Stop.
I didn't say you couldn't say that. It's just some of the other words you've been
We're not-
throwing out
Anyways,
there. Of that. Read the
don't want
tweet
to.
in response to Nicola Blakeman on the deal on that.
this made me so angry. Without people fighting that war, then idiots like this kid would have been the right to do what he did or what they want. They fought for our freedom, so learn about the
Learn about it, you cretin. That he's
I
called.
hate it when you make me read.
Yes, but no, it's absolutely
that is-
stunning.
I can't believe that did they run this footage on the show?
But no, to the broader point, you need to see the concentration camps. You need to see the Bataan Death March. You need to,
but not like watch it actually happen.
Yes.
No.
You need.
No.
Everyone needs
Not to watch it happen.
see that.
No.
You need to see the history of what happens when evil does. That way, it will be in your brain when you hear free or Black Lives Matters or jump on all this stuff or think you're going to protest on this stuff. You know there's consequences to your actions. And if you're going to be stupid, like this kid's just getting a well-deserved roasting on this thing.
You think so?
You see
I mean, he is here, but
you see the pervasiveness this has went through society, through our politics, through our education system, through everything else that is done that we've went to on this, and we're seeing a snowflakeization of society in general. Because we're not dealing, we want to take away everything that happens or bad. We can wish everything away. Alice in Wonderland, yada, 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 da, 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 da.
I don't.
He just looks like a weasel.
I do want to hit. No. I'm
Yes.
just gonna stop talking.
No, that you should. You should have that reaction to what's going on because this sort
I
of.
mean, are we going to get to a point now school's already closed. That's bad enough. But are we going to get to a point now where parents are going to start deciding and dictating like a menu of what you want your child to learn in school? I mean, that's just stupid. Why would you leave that out?
And people need to start dealing with reality. If we were more reality based, like I said, and not 100% on emotion, I can guarantee you this whole coronavirus thing would have been a lot different. It would have been like the Hong Kong flu, which per capita has killed more people in 1968 than we did that. And America and most of the world went like by with a ho ho hum. Okay, it's a bad flu pandemic. So what? We had Woodstock and everybody else. Nobody shut everything down. We didn't run around scared to the world of that's killing like 0.02% of the population.
Yes.
This is why this stuff is important, in my view, on this, because, and it illustrates that. And what struck me about this was hearing the report the other day that the millennials are now our biggest percentage of the population right now in America. I'm thinking, is this, they're the ones that are going to be overall more calling the shots on this because they're going to be voting. They're going to be calling that. They're going to be more involved in the political process or get into that political offices and stuff, as a natural course of things. And if this is the kind of mentality, the Black Lives Matter, or we're going to jump on the George Floyd thing, and I don't know if you saw it, but I think it's the Daily Mail. I mean, we might get into it more next, or maybe later on, maybe Thursday or Friday of that. But in the Daily Mail, they have released, or they have got a hold of some of the body cam photos or body cam film of two of the officers that were involved in the George Floyd thing. And as I've said, the cell phone tapes of the people taping on the sidewalk, did look bad. But this is why we have a criminal justice system, and that because you've got to know the context of what. of what happened from start to beginning, or have all the evidence that's in. Now, I guarantee, I will not guarantee you, but it definitely changed my outlook on it watching I think there's about 20 minutes of body cam footage of what the cops had and what they were dealing with, not just the last 5 minutes or so that you've seen on, that went ballistic and got us all this whole, rioting and whole stuff we've had to learn.
Right.
But again, that's what I say. That's the problem of reacting with this anything on 100% emotion. You're not saying, okay, that, and even of the broader aspect of this, and I've talked about
Even
it.
if,
Go ahead.
I don't know if I want to say this or not,
No, go
but
ahead.
even if it went down the way everybody assumed it did between those two,
Right.
still the way that people handled it and act out will always forever be wrong. No matter what.
Yes, it is.
It wasn't, unless the family didn't even act like that.
Right. They said they didn't want the violence and all that
Right.
stuff of that. It was tragic that George Floyd died.
And that was forgotten throughout the entire thing.
No, I get and that was the point I was making. It's tragic that he died. And if it was that the cops were negligent on it, that's why we have a criminal justice system to deal with this. We don't act, and I've said this, and it's a great segue into it. Let's say you're in a situation where you get filmed or something in one spot and you look bad. Do you want everybody calling for you a public hanging right there on the spot without your day in court or your chance to give your side of the story?
Right.
I don't think so. Just put yourself in the position of, okay, let's say that's reversed, and people are falsely accusing you of that, like the Richard Jewell situation or anything else that went on. Everybody was jumping on him that, oh yeah, they were convicting him in the court of public opinion in the dominant media, and it turns out he didn't have nothing to do with it. And you see this situation. So no matter how bad things look on their face, and it did look very bad on that whole situation, but I would like more people to watch the whole body cam video of what the cops were dealing with, and then see, okay, well, let's consider this, because that's, it is going to shine things in a different light.
Richard writes in, a justice system that's different for blacks. Why?
Yeah. Tell me what. We can get into the whole enchilada of that. I didn't do that, but I'm trying to think of her name up there that writes for City Journal, who had her YouTube, and we didn't get to it. But yeah, that's a great thing.
I think that's the problem, though, is people want things just for blacks. What about Italians?
No,
about Hispanic?
I'm trying to think of her name, but she did a
whole thing.
She did, of that,
stats.
like of the stats and 90% and how the black on black crime and all that, of that, and it was a scholarly, like at Yale University or something, and they're outlining the whole thing of what's going on and where the real problem is, and where the crime is committed of that, and YouTube took the video down, I think, within a day, of showing you the reality of the situation, because it doesn't fit the emotional narrative. It's like the noose thing with Bubba Wallace. That was not a noose. That was a knot tied on there. Any idiot who was pulled that knows if it was a noose and a slip knot, as soon as you used it to grab it for a garage pull, it would tighten down on your hand, and if you grabbed it hard enough, it could potentially break your fingers like that. There's a difference, although they look fairly similar, there's a difference between a knot tied like that, a knot, and a noose. And they were going on about that whole thing, but everybody jumped on that right off the deal, and then when it was found out that, no, that thing had been in there a long time, and it hadn't been that, and Bubba Wallace still insisted it was a noose when it was not. It was a knot. It was not a noose. A noose is a slip, deal. And a noose is, they use them, for like putting you back in the Wild West days. They used to use that for putting, if you pulled up to the hitching post or the bar or whatever with your horse, you would put the slip knot on there on the posts over there so the horse didn't run off. So they were, that's what I'm saying, to jump on everything and look at how that thing flared up like all that because of the emotion. Oh, there was a noose in the garage. Oh, those hillbillies at NASCAR, they're just a bunch of racist rednecks running their Confederate flag and all that stuff. And that's what we need to eliminate on this because, because there's 0.0001% of the people that think that way, we should not project that onto the whole population.
Exactly. There's only one race, and that's the human race.
Correct.
And we got to stop with Hispanics kill, a white guy kills
yes.
a Hispanic while drinking and driving. What does that have to do with anything? If you're going to sit there and say, color this, color that, color this, I mean, really? I don't.
Yes, it's irrelevant of what, but like they said, most of the crime in the black areas are committed by blacks. If you're more likely, if you're a cop, if you get shot by a cop, and you're black, you're more likely to almost exclusively to get shot by a black cop on that. And in the areas, they commit a lot more crime versus their percentage of the population. So when you look at the statistics, as Deborah, gosh dang it, was pointing out on that and did a big article on that, and was in a seminar at a major university and pointing all this out. They were talking about the reality of the situation. It's just like COVID,
right?
Of that. And I'm going to run into that because here's, I call her the non-doctor doctor. She's not a medical doctor. She has a degree in is a social worker, but she's the head health official in LA County. I call her the witch, Barbara Ferrer, of that. She's part of the update team like Newsom is. This is what she said on Monday.
Opportunities for transmission, particularly in high-risk settings. Simply put, closing the bars worked. It also worked to limit indoor dining at restaurants and to move the operations of various businesses and institutions outdoors. This is particularly true in those places where customers were not going to be able to wear their face coverings and or they were in crowded.
So again, that's what she said on Monday. So I just got the audio. I don't have the video, so I'm just going to play that here in a second. This is what she said, she said, and you've been hearing that, the bars have been doing this, and we closed down, and if you wear your mask and all the whole lockdown, yada, 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 which like we discussed Monday and we discussed yesterday with Dr. Kelly Victory. Why wasn't, Trump said the lockdowns were totally ineffective and we shouldn't be doing them. Why wasn't that headline news broadcast 24/7 all across the board? But here's a short clip of Ferrer on today at the news briefing. Here we go.
Monday, I told you that I was cautiously optimistic about what our numbers are showing, particularly the information on declining daily hospitalizations. While that still remains true today, I continue to focus on the word cautious when I speak of the hope I have for where things could be headed. I also have to note, as we reported yesterday, that there have been significant issues with the state-reported data on cases.
So we're basing this all on a bunch of information we don't even know is correct. And we are already making determinations and saying that and scaring you to death, saying, oh, yeah, it was you gathering in the bars or having a gathering at your home, or you're going to kill mom, or anything else.
Right.
We were we've been running that rhetoric all for weeks now. Everything's getting, while our death rate and stuff has been steadily declining, and even as cases go up or whatever on that, the death rate's been declining, still declining all across the country. There may be a few hot spots in there, but that's that's irrelevant in the whole grand scheme of things of that. You were doing that. Now you have to come out Wednesday. Well, maybe it isn't this case because the data's been screwed up and we don't know all that. So you're making calls. You're scaring everybody to death on this stuff, telling them that you're a murderer if you go out and you're not wearing your mask, or you go to your friend's house, or you go to your mom's house, or whatever on that, you're potentially spreading the disease, and you could kill yada yada yada. I mean, what more proof do you need? They will not spread the information. That, like I said, Monday when Trump come out, and he reiterated it again today and Tuesday and today of that in his press conference, the lockdowns didn't work.
Right. Neither did the mask.
So why are we
Obviously.
Why are we still buying in? Why are the vast majority still buying into it, and they're still not telling? Are they? If they're lying to you now, if they are, then how do you believe them? Why would any reasonable person believe anything that's coming out of these people's mouths?
Carla writes in, I love you, Carla. I just feel like we need to listen to the experts on the virus that we don't know about yet.
So would you, Carla, honest question, would you listen to her? Do you think she's telling you the truth? Do you think Fauci, who's been all over the map, is telling you the truth? If it is, I mean, I'm about as perplexed as the ding-dong millennial that was sitting there talking about it's too intense to talk about World War II. I mean, what again, I'm just for my own sanity. Why would you believe anything they've said?
I don't know. But people have a difference of opinion, so if they want to believe it, then that's cool. But I still feel like you should be able to make that choice.
Yeah,
you should make a choice if you want to go to the store without a mask. You should make a choice if you want your kids in school. You should make a choice.
Like they're doing
all of it.
Like they're doing with the sports. They're locking down the schools. No sports in the schools. No nothing of that stuff. And
Carla writes in yes, and it's because she is not an expert. I respect that. I personally disagree with. I mean, we've had so many doctors on that have proven it the opposite.
Exactly, and by her own words, she's coming on saying, "Well, why would you believe?"
We've had way too much backing on it being.
Yes, Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York.
Not that I don't think that it's not like serious or people are dying from it. I mean, I do, but I don't think it's as much as they're claiming.
As they're doing on that. And as they do coming back and forth on that stuff. And like you say, like Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, said, I'm not believing the models because none of them were even anywhere close. So why are you even worried? Why would you even believe it? It astonishes me why anyone would even believe any of this stuff coming through, because you look at what's going on, and it's just incredible. It's incredible that they're pulling this stuff now this, like Kelly Victory said, this was supposed to be for 14 days, and we're in day 147, 10 times more, and we're in worse shape, and we're still locked down, and we don't know what to do. How long is this going to last? Over something that's killing 0.02% of the population? Come on. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around that.
I can't either.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Through the PC?
But no, it's absolutely crazy on what's going on the whole enchilada on that.
Carla writes in that I think the death rate is low compared to our population. The death rate's much lower than what they claimed it would be.
Yeah. You even believe the stats they're giving you when, you got hit by a truck
10 seconds
and died, but you're counted as a COVID death because you tested positive.
Then I heard that a lot of the test results were wrong.
By this station, opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday on the Mighty Met, 1490 AM, on iNewsWire Daily, on a Wicked Wednesday. We come back and forth. We covered all that, and we'll touch on a little bit with Susan Shelley on the whole Barbara Ferrer deal in L.A. County coming on. And, you know, of the public officials going on and lying to you, and one thing, and I don't know if we'll have time to cover that, but those of you who are listening on KMET, you might want to check out our first half hour that we do live on Facebook and YouTube on IE Newswire on the millennial who says teaching World War II in history in schools is too intense for millennials. That's absolutely yes. You know, the word snowflake, I mean, if that doesn't fit, if there wasn't a term that fit any more than the mentality of that, I don't know what it is. Plus, you'll see probably absolutely one of the smartest and cleanest bears you'll ever see doing that. That was a pretty good deal on that.
That bear was awesome.
Yes, the bear was fun.
More people in the world need to be like that bear.
Yes, the bear was cool on that. But no, our public officials just keep killing us it seems like every which way but sideways on this whole deal. And one of the things that just that really, 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 really struck me about this whole thing, and it is, and we talked about it a little bit in the first half hour, but how millennials are now the biggest majority of the population percentage-wise of that, and how they're going to shape the future. And
scary.
Yes.
I think the whole world's scary right now. Everybody's mad and angry about something.
But it is what he said on that was dealing with this whole thing going on emotion. And, and that's the problem. That's how you get the whole rioting or everything's going to be free or buying into the Pocahontas or the Bernie Sanders stuff on that of getting at and talking back and forth on that. And again, like I said, you're going to rue the day when you get rid of, when you want to get rid of the straight white male or the reality basis situation. You want to run this whole thing 100% on emotion. You're not going to like the results of that. Yeah, half the population might think it's a good idea that we wipe out the stupid half of the population, but I guarantee you, once you get to that, or you get to that point, you're not going to like it, which happens. And when we come up with that and do it, it's just absolutely, I don't know. It's absolutely, I just can't even wrap my head around it on that. But as we usually do, sometime during the midweek, our longtime guest, she's columnist, editorial writer for the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Redlands Daily Facts, and Inland Daily Bulletin, and about a gazillion more newspapers all across Southern California. But even more important in my eyes, Vice President of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome to IE Newswire with Stephanie and Roy.
Well, thank you. Great to be with you.
Hey, Susan.
We talked about this the first thing, and we touched on too before we get to your column on education, which is really important. But two things. First thing I was talking about, this millennial 22-year-old said it's too intense to teach for millennials to learn World War II history on that. What's your thought?
Stressful to learn World War II
yes.
history. Well, how stressful is life if you don't learn World War II history?
Exactly.
How stressful is it if you don't find out what D-Day meant and what the Holocaust was and why we were fighting the Germans and how we were allied with the Russians and then after the war we were not allied with the Russians and our war turned cold and what we spent and what we endured and what the people of Eastern Europe endured as a result of the deals made at the end of that war. And it's hard to blame anyone because 4 years of fighting like that, I mean, more than 4 years for Europe. And if people don't learn that, if they think it can't happen here, and they go and they stand in downtown Los Angeles with sledgehammers and they break glass windows, and it looks like crystal knocked, and they don't know what that means, and they don't know where that leads, and they don't know how a civilized society can turn into a sacrificial furnace, burning people alive. If they don't learn that, they think it's stressful to learn it. They should see how stressful it is to live it. And they will if they don't learn it.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
I couldn't have said it better myself on that. And exactly, they've got to learn to do a reality-based deal, because this is the second part that I want to get to. I don't know if you heard Barbara Farrar, and I do, but just don't even get me started on her. The non-medical doctor who's a chief medical or health official in LA County on that Monday came out and said, yeah, the bars, getting people out of bars and this and not going over to your mom's house and doing that has bent the curve again and prevented the spread of coronavirus and that. Then she comes out today at the press conference and said, well, you know, we've been basing this on state data that is incomplete and inaccurate on that.
But you know what, really quick, Carla writes in, let me find it. If you have COVID, you can continue to test positive for up to 2 to 3 months, but that was if it was an underlying condition. That's what the doctor told her fiance. So how many times is that one patient within the 2 to 3 months being tested and that never being counted?
Yes, or counted 27,000 times. Or we've created such a mess of this. And like I said, why would anyone believe anything that she or Gavin Newsom or Andrew Cuomo or Yoga Pants down there or any of them that have been saying this BS at all?
Well, you're right, and you raise a really important point, because if the government has no credibility, and then you have a natural disaster, and you say, we have to evacuate this area because it's dangerous, and people say, yeah, heard it all before, and they don't go, then people die because the government had no credibility. Or the government says, you should vaccinate your children, and people say, yeah, get away from me with that, because they have no credibility. And we can't really run a free country this way if the government's going to be lying to us all the time. Because you go to the polls and you're voting on what you think you know about something, and it turns out to be a lie, well, then the government doesn't have the consent of a governed. Now what you have is a government that's governing by force. And even though we have elections, lots of countries have elections. Saddam Hussein had elections. He did very well in them.
Yeah, didn't he win by like 197% or something like that?
I think he did every time. It was like he broke Babe Ruth's record several times. So if the government has no credibility, we don't have a legitimate government. We have government by force. The biggest, strongest, nastiest, most ruthless will rule the rest of us. And that's not a free country, and that's not the deal we signed. So these are big issues. If the people in the health department make an honest error, that's one thing. But if they are deliberately cooking the books, knowingly cooking the books, in order to create scary numbers, in order to compel people to go along with what they want everyone to do, even if the motives are good, and I don't think they are, but even if the motives are good, that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. They can't be doing this. By the way, we do have limited power in this country, limited power in this state. A state of emergency by law can't last longer than 60 days in a locality like Southern California counties. Can't last longer than 60 days by state law. But on March 4th, Gavin Newsom signed an executive order, a state of emergency declaration, and he said, I'm waiving the laws that limit the length of a state of emergency. And nobody said anything. And I'm sure that no one thought at the time, I certainly didn't, that when he did that, he intended for this to be permanent, which is what it seems to be becoming. Now they're talking about the holidays, the Rose Parade is canceled, we're going into next year, the schools could be closed all the way in California, the schools could be closed all the way to June 2021, and the districts are prohibited from even laying off a custodian to save money. They cannot do it. They're prohibited from any staff reductions.
One last thing I want to get to before I get to your column is And I think I'm the only one maybe somebody else has. Maybe I'm the only one that picked up on it. On Monday's press conference, and he reiterated it yesterday and today, Trump said the lockdowns are not working. There's no evidence that they did. We talked to Kelly Victory yesterday about it, and I'm wondering, why isn't that headline news broadcast 24/7, 365 on that? It's just astonishing.
It's an excellent question, and we may have gotten the answer from someone who just resigned from MSNBC, one of their producers. She said that everything's about the ratings, and they are picking the stories that get the highest ratings. The scarier, the better. They are not interested in any context. They're not interested in anything that might calm people down, because calm people will change the channel and watch something else. But if you can do you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die coverage,
yes,
wall to wall, people won't turn it off, or so they think, and therefore that's what they're doing. Could it really be that they're destroying the world economy for something as shallow as that? Patty Chayefsky, the author of the movie Network, the screenwriter of the movie Network from the 1970s, he predicted all of this, and it was a satire. And now it's not a satire. Now it's the real thing.
That's the scary part of it. On that, that you're doing that. Tell us why one of your greatest columns ever is California's education system for kids or adults.
Oh, well, there's a new lawsuit. A 5-year-old girl named Samaya Atkins is suing the state of California. She's suing the governor. She's suing the superintendent of education. She's suing the California Department of Education. Samaya Atkins is 5 years old, and she's not going to take it anymore. And what she's upset about, and her parents, and the schools that she attends, is that Gavin Newsom and the legislature cut off the funding for new enrollees in schools in the new upcoming school year that starts this month. Charter schools, public schools, everybody's funding is frozen at last year's attendance level, which means that schools that have lost attendance get the money for the students who aren't there anymore, and the schools that are new, the schools that have enrolled new students, the new kindergarten class, they do not get their per pupil funding that they're entitled to under state law because of a budget trailer bill. Now, we've talked about trailer bills before. These are blank pieces of legislation. They are passed by the legislature. Theoretically, they go through committee. Theoretically, they're voted on. They're blank. And then they're put in the drawer. After they pass in each house, they're put in the drawer. And at the end of the session, they take them out. And they take one of these backroom deals that they've made, and they put that all into the blank bill, and they call it an amendment. And then it comes back to the floor for concurrence in the amendment, up or down. No further debate, no further committee hearings, nothing. So this is a policy. Defunding the new enrollment is a policy that they stuck into the education trailer bill with no transparency, with no debate, with no hearings, and they just absolutely stuck it to the charter schools in particular, which are growing. And they protected the district schools, which are failing, that students are leaving, that don't even want to open. They protected their funding. And where's the money going to go? Well, it's going to go to pay for all these people that the districts are not allowed to fire or lay off. All the drivers, the custodians, the nutrition workers, the people who have nothing to do because the schools are physically closed and the students aren't in them. The students are at home with a laptop computer and an internet connection and frustrated parents. The kids are at home and the school employees are all being paid with the education funds that should be going to 5-year-old Samaya Atkins and her school and all of her classmates, and they are being cheated. They are only getting a fraction of what they are owed by the state because all the students have to share a smaller number of per pupil allotments. So that's what the column is about. The schools are operating as a jobs program for adults. That's what they're for. There's going to be bond measures all over the place in California. That's for construction jobs. It's not because they need the school buildings. It's because people want the construction jobs. So you're going to pay. You're going to borrow the money. You're going to pay the interest, and they're going to build stuff. And it could be like the Winchester House. It could be totally useless and no one needs it, but they're going to build it because somebody wants those jobs. Very much like the bullet train. Somebody wants those jobs, so your money is going to pay them to build something that is totally unnecessary. And the kids, No one cares about the kids, except the parents. And if the parents want to do something about this, they should ring the phones of their state lawmakers and tell them to fund this year's enrollment at the appropriate levels to fix this problem that they created a few weeks ago in the budget, and fund the schools, or else. And the or else is new schools, new private schools, new home schools, and the end of public education in California. I think it could go there. I think if the schools abandon the parents this year, the parents may never come back.
I think there's a lot of parents that are going with other options this year.
And the longer it goes on, the more other options there will be.
Exactly.
A lot of smart people out there, and they can run schools. You know, there's nothing mystical about education. People have been doing it for generations.
Well, apparently, Susan, I'm a teacher
reading and
this
math
year.
and science.
I want to do it.
And I've said this, and why I said that was the most, or probably one of your most important columns, at least for me, is I've been saying this exact same thing for decades now and pointing it out, and I've been nailed to the stake. I've had attitudes from the teachers' unions, from administrators to school board members of all that. And it's been well chronicalized on that, and you can see it on videotape of who's been doing it. But when it comes down to it, and I want to see when you take the evidence, and even as Susan Shelley's pointed out, you tell me where these teachers are for education, for the kids, or anything else, and not for themselves. And that's what this all boils down to. And I hope if there's something good that comes out of this, I hope what you're saying is right, that we have a 100% overhaul of the education system in the state of California, because if there's one thing that we really need, we need a 100% rethink, tear down, and rebuild of the education system in the state of California.
Absolutely. And we have to go back to teaching American civics. We have to go back to teaching kids why a free country can be a free country, and how you put a government together that protects that freedom, and what their rights are, and how you protect your rights, and how you stand up for your rights, and all these things about elections and representative government and holding government accountable. Things that are fundamental to a free country are not being taught. Generation after generation, they're not being taught. And I really feel for a lot of these kids who think they're Marxists, who are in the street screaming that life isn't fair and that it's capitalism's fault or it's Trump's fault or whoever's fault they think it is. I kind of feel for them because they have been lied to all their life. And they are angry and they are cheated. And they are buying a bunch of nonsense from the left, like climate change is going to ruin the world and therefore no one should drive or use energy, which is costing them money and raising the price of housing because we're not building enough of it because Jerry Brown said it's bad to drive. So we don't want to build any housing in areas where people have to drive to work. And that's now state law. It's state law to discourage housing construction. And so we've discouraged it. We don't have it. And guess what? Young people who want to buy a house can't buy a house. So they're out there screaming that the baby boomers have sucked up all the houses. Well, somebody's got to build houses for people to buy. And trying to force baby boomers out of their houses is not going to create houses for everybody. And trying to create rules that force density into single-family neighborhoods is not going to work because of the nature of politics, where people are going to stand up for themselves and say, no, you're not doing that to this neighborhood. That's how politics is going to work, as it should. Representative government at the local level is going to resist that, as it should. And these kids in the street don't know any of that because they've been taught Marxist nonsense, fantasy, economics from storybook land. It's sad. I don't blame them for being angry. They have been betrayed by political leaders, by cynical staff members at nonprofits who have lied to them for fundraising purposes. And the good news is that people can always learn. People can always get wise. There are books. There's information. And as people grow up in the world, and learn, they can change their views, and they can make real change, productive change. And I hope that that happens, because what we're seeing right now in the streets is bad for everybody. This is the end of a free country if we continue down this path of destroying everything. That's not going to end well.
And it is, and the reason I kind of went down this track is because now I just heard today that millennials are now the biggest percentage of the population in America right now of that. And yeah, they need to, and I don't want to see the train wreck of that coming, and they're just going to buy into that, or like the millennials said, oh, don't teach us about World War II, that's too intense, we can't handle it. I'm thinking, this is how you got into the situation, or how we're in with the riots and the COVID and all this stuff.
Exactly. Look at our world now.
Yes.
Yes.
How is it much different? I mean, it is, but is it?
Well, we're really not very far with what we've done to ourselves with this COVID thing. We're not that far from the mental state that you have to be in to support genocide. Now, think about for just a minute. Once you convince everyone that every person they meet is so dangerous to them that just the physical contact of saying hello and shaking hands could kill you. Now you've created a situation where you've got people who are furious at each other for not wearing masks, things like that.
And pouring coffee
you are
on
trying
them.
to kill my grandparents, and people are getting violent over it. Well, that is exactly the mindset that you have to be in to support a genocide. You convince yourself that all of your problems are caused by these other people, and you're there. You're there. You're doing it for the good of society. You're doing it for the good of your own family. You're doing it for the future. You're doing it for the fatherland. It's very close. Germany was a civilized, advanced, educated society when it did this.
And that's what the danger is, I think, of what the 22-year-old was saying. Oh, wait, well, that's too intense. We don't want to see it. Well, you don't see it. You're not prepared for it, or you're buying into exactly the thing that's going to wind up with that same outcome if you don't get your head out of your blank.
That's true. And we're starting here with the lightweight cancellations where people are losing their careers. That's very serious. That's not genocide, but it's very serious. People are losing their careers over comments that they made which were perfectly acceptable 30 years ago, and somebody digs them out, and now we're going to make it controversial, and people are being forced out of their jobs. Career suicide over it, homicide. And that is not so far either from the mindset of tolerating genocide. We're getting pretty close in this country, and I never thought we'd see it. Now, if you want to not go there, here's how you prevent it. All you have to do is stand up for individual rights. You will never have a dictator. You will never have a genocide if you stand up without compromise for the rights of the individual. Life, liberty, property, the pursuit of happiness, the rights of the individual, regardless of whether it's so-called good for society or not. The rights of the individual cannot be arbitrarily violated. And if you stand up for that principle, we'll be okay. That's how you prevent it.
And tell them how what organization they can join that will keep those individual rights for them so we don't suffer that kind of fate.
The best thing you can do in California is join the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, because HJTA is standing up for your rights, for your interests, for your money, for your family, for your home. And it's at hjta.org. You can be a member for just $15 a year, and we'll keep you informed on everything. You can also just sign up for email updates. No cost for that at all. And be active, be involved, read about the upcoming election, be an informed voter. Be the kind of person that people call and say, who should I vote for? I don't know any of these people. Be the person who has the answer. And you can find the answers on who's good for taxpayers at the hjta.org website. Ballot recommendations, legislative scorecard, information about the ballot measures, links to other information that you can find. Lots of good stuff there. And we're all going to have to be our own civics teacher to all of our friends and relatives, gently. We don't want to ruin Thanksgiving, gently. But we all have to be out there explaining to people why this matters and how we fix it. It's on us. There's nobody else to do this.
Thanks for being on the show, Susan, and we'll do it again next week.
Thanks, Roy. Thanks, Stephanie.
Bye. Thank you.
I hope you see why. I hope it's starting. In all seriousness aside, I hope you're seeing why the seriousness sometimes of these situations are, and so why, even it's a very vocal minority of us that go out
Right.
there and point this stuff out and don't let others intimidate us or try and deter us from doing what is right.
But I think that's like the thing, especially with millennials, even though some suck, some don't. But I think that
I'll agree with that.
to open your eyes to what is going on in the world around us and to accept how played you're kind of being, it's hard. But then to go out there, do it, and say it like we do, and then still have to accept the backlash that we get, that makes it even harder. So I just wish that people would open their eyes and be a little more understanding. If you don't agree with us or with the other people, do your research. Find out for yourself if you're wrong or not. Instead of being so angry at people because they don't agree with every little thing that you think, maybe go see if maybe you're wrong. Right?
Maybe so.
I used to get mad because I thought you were wrong. You're freaking right all the time. It's annoying.
I don't know what else to say about that, but
We're
gone.